Are you ready?
Are you ready?
For a podcast hosted by George T.
Who the hell are you?
I am the movie geek.
Who are you?
I am the movie geek.
You are such a geek.
Thank you.
And now, on with the show.
It's time!
It's showtime.
It's showtime. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Movie Geek Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, George T. And we've got some news and a top 10 list of the movies that have come out so far that I've seen this year, the best of, and then a top 10 of the movies I will be thoroughly waiting for. So buckle in, and I want to give a shout out to Jennifer Nagel again for coming on to the podcast last week. I will hope to have her on again at some point down the road. That being said, I did see 3 movies over the weekend. Bad Boys, Ride or Die, A Quiet Place, Day 1, and The Bike Riders. All were very, well, 2 of them were really good. And then, of course, Bad Boys was what it is. It's, great action. And it was actually enjoyable to watch. That being said, I figured that after going through some of the podcasts and doing multiple reviews of movies, I feel like maybe I should do some just reviews of the good movies on separate episodes. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So look for these episodes of those movies that came out this week that I saw. And I think more content, maybe hopefully we'll get some more ears to this podcast, maybe some traction. We'll see. That being said, let's look at the weekend box office. Again, shout out to Inside Out 3, number 1 for the 3rd straight week. It pulled in another 57.5 so far. Right now, looking to be the highest grossing film. I do think that it will be topped at some point by, of course, one of the movies that I will be thoroughly talking about within the few weeks or so. We all know what that is. No secret. Deadpool and Wolverine. So, speaking of A Quiet Place, Day 1. That debuted in number 2 at 52.2. I was one of the ones who saw it, and I thought it was a really, really good movie. I will review it on another episode. Surprisingly enough, and there's been a lot of critics about this movie, and it was Horizon's An American Saga Chapter 1. That pulled in $11 million. So, whereas they are talking about it being a bomb, I think finishing in the top 3 on an opening weekend when you have Inside Out 2, you have the new movie, A Quiet Place, opening, Bike Riders came out the week before, Kinds of Kindness. I mean, there's a lot there. Garfield, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is still going strong. So again, you got a lot of movies in there, and for all the critics and all the pundits who thought the movie wasn't going to do anything, it still finished 3rd at $11 million. Now, maybe it's not a success to the box office people, but I would think it's a success, considering, again, what it was up against. A movie I saw this weekend, Bad Boys, Ride or Die, finished 4th. It was number 2 the week before. It pulled in 10.3. I'm part of that. Number 5, I've not heard of this movie. It's a Kali 2898 AD. So, not sure what this is, but it did finish 5th at $5.2 million. I'll have to read up on it. I'm sorry I didn't read up on it. The Bike Riders I saw with Ashley. It was number 6. It made 3.3. Kinds of Kindness opened up in a general population of movie theaters, still in select theaters. The number of theaters went up from 7 to what it is now, but it's still nowhere near the amount of theaters or seatings that can be seen. It pulled in 1.5 million, and it was up like 300% because, again, it opened in very select theaters. Not sure why. With the success of Poor Things, I know this is definitely not Poor Things from the way the trailer looks, but you would think after, 2 of the stars from that movie with the director of Poor Things would actually be in this, and you would think people would go and see it, but I don't know. I did hear it wasn't as good as Poor Things, so who knows? It will be one of these movies that I will absolutely see. This week, the big movie for the week is Despicable Me 4. And with the success of Inside Out 2, I think Despicable Me will top that and knock that one out of the post. But again, who knows? It's survived 3 weeks now as the number 1 film. It could. But I think fresh new movie out, I think that will actually do well in the theater. One other movie that is coming out or debuting on Netflix, of course, is Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Again, another sequel. Do we need more sequels? And I will touch on this really quickly with some notes that I saw. But a lot of movies now are getting sequels way after their time, and I don't know. I mean, granted, it's on Netflix. It's going to be free. I'll probably see it. I will review it for you, but it's not something I will clamor over. Although, good news for Godzilla times Kong, that is coming on Max this week on 4th of July. So I will definitely be looking at that, and I'll review it as well. Probably maybe the same one as Axel F. Who knows? But we'll see how that goes. But as I've been reading about some of these movies with sequels, Sandra Bullock has talked about teaming back up with Nicole Kidman, doing a Practical Magic 2. I did not know that there was a call for this. I really don't. Again, Hollywood, just doing what it does best and trying to add sequels for no apparent reason. I guess, the movie was okay. But, it's strange that we continue to do this. Another one I just saw this morning, and I don't know. So, Hellboy is going to be back out in the theaters at some point. There's no due date on this, but The Crooked Man, that's the name of the title, Hellboy the Crooked Man. A trailer is out now, and somebody different is playing Hellboy this time. So we had the 2 movies with Ron Perlman, and they were pretty good. Then we tried to reboot it in 2019 with David Harbour. Not very good. So why would the studio go back and say, you know what, Hellboy is a movie that we want to try to put out. We want to try to make it work. Why? Why? You rebooted it. It didn't work. David Harbour, by the way, good actor, but not, I didn't think he fit. I know I had actually met Ron Perlman down in Connecticut at Connecticut Con, and I was like, when they were asking about the reboot, and he was like, well, I don't know why they're rebooting it. Neither do we. Neither do we. They should have just left it alone. Left it alone. So, there is a few news. I will break more news as we go along in some of the other episodes that are coming up. But right now, I want to go over my top 10 so far through this year. All right, so I want to talk about this really quickly because, as I've mentioned on this show before, that Blu-rays, DVDs are going by the wayside. Sony mentioned it this week that they are trying to get out of that physical media. Well, I got news for Sony, and I've got news for anyone who thinks that, or any distributing company thinks that DVDs should go away. It shouldn't. Yes, streaming services are great, but you know what? You're charging people money to watch these movies. Some are charging for subscription fees, and then you got to pay on top of it, Amazon, to see new releases or video on demand. Great. But you know what? Nothing beats looking over my shoulder here, if you're watching the YouTube one, if this actually goes up. Just bear with me still. But I have walls of DVDs because something the streaming services don't have, I can look up here if I want to watch it. Because sometimes there are movies they take, they put in, they take some out. Well, if it's a movie that you really want to see and you can't find it on a streaming service, if you have a DVD of it, you can just throw it in. It's not that big a deal. I think the problem is that they feel like people now are streaming more, not going to the movies enough, and, they're not going to go and buy discs. Well, maybe not in the way they used to, but there are people like me who will do that if it's good enough. Whereas I don't want to. Now, if the movie is on streaming service, great. I can watch it if I travel somewhere or whatever. So now I'm not bringing a physical disc. But when I'm watching at home, I would rather throw in the disc of a movie, unless it's on the streaming service. But even then, I've got the copy of the DVD. I can watch it whenever I want to. And it's just better, I think. I think it's just better to have a physical DVD. All right. So that being said, I was going through the interweb to see top 10, top 25, top 50 movies so far this year through January and June. Wasn't many in January to talk about. However, they did mention a few of the January ones that were listed for the 2024 Oscars. I thought that was kind of cheating because we all know that they were a part of the Oscars, like Society of the Snow. Well, yeah, okay, that came in January, but it was also an Oscar contender. It cannot be an Oscar contender for 2025. So I kind of left that one out. So my top 10 so far, and, you can agree or disagree depending on what you've seen or not seen. Number 10 was actually Spaceman. And I had a hard time with the 10th one because 1 through 9 was easy. Spaceman I actually did like with Adam Sandler. I know a lot of people don't like Adam Sandler in dramas, but this one was actually good. It told a very good story. It was based on a book. So, if you've read the book and didn't see the movie, then maybe you should see the movie, even though I know Adam Sandler is not everyone's cup of tea. But it was definitely a good one for me. Ricky Stenicki, I will say, is still the top comedy movie of this year. I'm telling you right now, it is nonstop laughs. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to see it. So that was my number 9. And I know it wasn't on the big screen, but it was on Amazon. So number 8 was Miller's Girl. Sorry, from Netflix. That was the Jenna Ortega, Martin Freeman one, where Jenna is a student and Martin Freeman was a teacher, and that whole ball of wax. It was really good. It was well done. Dune 2. Hey, I liked it. I really did. I thought more people would like it, but again, it's a sci-fi, and maybe just people didn't understand it enough, or there wasn't a lot of attraction for it from non-Dune fans. Although the special effects were amazing. It was a really heavily special effect heavy movie, which I love on the big screen. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's on Max. Actually, Dune and Dune 2 are on Max right now. And then they're, I think, previewing the third one as well. Hitman on Netflix. I know this is was a strange one for me, but it was actually a well done movie, and I gave it a thumbs up on my episode a couple weeks ago. I think it is definitely worth a watch, and it was definitely number 1 for me for Netflix for this month, or for last month. Number 5, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. This movie was really good. Guy Ritchie did an amazing job with this movie. It was based loosely on a true story. Henry Cavill, Alan Richardson. I mean, the cast is amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. It was really, really good. All right, top 4. A Quiet Place Day 1, which I will review on another episode. I thought it was amazing. Definitely a 2 thumbs upper, and I will go through why that was. Number 3 was Fall Guy. What can I say? Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling were really good. On-screen chemistry, really good, and I honestly think this movie deserves maybe some acting awards, but it was really, really good. It was well done, and I did give that 2 thumbs up on an episode earlier. The Bike Riders, which I will review on another episode down the road. True story. It was quite an interesting story, and I will get into that when I do my review of it coming up, but another 2 thumbs up. Now, for my number 1, God, hard to know what that is. I've been only talking about this movie forever, but Civil War was number 1. Now, I want to say something really quickly. When I was going through the other websites and all these top 10, top 25s, Civil War wasn't even on this list. And it begs the question, why? Why is this movie not on any of those lists? This movie was so powerful. Like, I just don't get it. And, some lists had a lot of these indie films that are, video direct, or in limited theaters. But to leave Civil War out of a top 25, a top 10, is absolutely asinine to me. I know I'm not, a reviewer of movies, get paid to do so, but I'm telling you right now, if Civil War is not highly touted for Oscars next year, or Golden Globes, whatever you have, there's something wrong. And it's not even that it was a political movie, because it didn't toe that line. I've told this before. It does not toe that line. We don't know why the president and his states that were still with him were the way they were, or why everyone was wanting to take down the president. It wasn't because of political lines. It wasn't Democrat, Republican. It was fascism versus dictatorship versus democracy. So it just it floors me. It floors me that Civil War was not nominated or put on these lists of top 10 movies. Monkey Man was on one of them in the top 25. Look, it was a good movie, but I don't think that was even close to Civil War. So I don't know. So again, I know I don't get paid to to review movies or or whatnot, but I don't know. Maybe I missed something along the way. Anyway, so top 10 movies that I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year, through July through December. So we'll go with number 10. And 10, 9, and 8 are movies that I'm anticipating, but at the same time, I am kind of dreading at the same time. And I'll explain why. Number 10, Gladiator 2. Gladiator was an amazing movie with Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, Connie Nelson, a multitude of others. This movie was amazing, directed by Ridley Scott. Now, some 25 years later-ish, we've got Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal in Gladiator 2. Images are coming out. Maybe a trailer will drop soon. Loved Gladiator. Looking forward to it, but I'm dreading it as well. I just don't know if it can live up to the original story of Gladiator with Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix, is now the ruler of Rome. And Gladiator, played by Russell Crowe, Maximus is an ex-Roman general who was set to be killed. He winds up not getting killed, comes back to Rome, tries to save Rome from Commodus. Now, historical accuracy, Commodus did die the way he died in the movie. However, it was not by Maximus. Maximus was not a commander or general during that time, but there was a Maximus during that time. I looked it up because I thought, I know that whole thing where I loved ancient history, but it was really interesting that Maximus was not during that time frame. But Commodus did die the way he died in the movie. So if you haven't seen that movie, shame on you. Number 9, Lord of the Rings. I'm just going to leave this at this. The Amazon show, had a prequel to The Hobbit, and I think there might be another season coming out soon. I'm not sure. But I didn't know that there was a call for another Lord of the Rings movie. So again, highly anticipating it. Anticipating, yes. But dreading it at the same time. Again, Peter Jackson did an amazing job of doing all 3 books. Well, all 4 books, really. And making The Hobbit into 3 movies was even, a stroke of genius, because people like myself all loved it. And he made 6 movies out of 4 books by Tolkien. A genius. So maybe maybe I could be wrong about this one, but it is number 9 on my list. Wicked, number 8. Obviously, story of the Wizard of Oz, told in a different light, based on a play. Again, another movie that might be interesting. And again, Wicked, I will say this, has moved from December to November. So maybe that is a good thing for it as well. So, but that is one of those things that I am looking forward to. Fly Me to the Moon, which comes out this month, my number 7. It looks pretty damn funny. Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, it looks hysterically funny, and we'll see if it's like Unfrosted. Unfrosted was a look at the cereal companies. It kind of told in a comedic way. This is the arms race to get to the moon, and this looks like a comedy about faking the landing for those people who think that America never got to the moon and we faked it. So again, this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek type of movie, so we will see how this fares. Number 6, Trap. Absolutely want to see this movie. M. Night Shyamalan has done some amazing movies, and he's done some bad movies. This one looks really good. And I'm sorry to say, but it will probably beat his daughter's opening weekend, which was $7 million. And it's kind of gone right down. I'll have a final total right before Trapped comes out, and I just want to see where this goes. Josh Hartnett looks to be the serial killer in this movie, but again, it's a trailer. It could be just throwing us all off, and that is what M. Night Shyamalan is really good at with that. However, some of his movies have been bombs, i.e. Village, which I did not get to talk to Bryce Dallas Howard about, but I didn't want to bring that up because it was just bad. Number 5, Transformers 1, the animated movie. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I've loved Transformers. Yes, I understand that, the live action movies, some have been good, some have been bad. You went from Shia LaBeouf and, now to Mark Wahlberg and, a few people in between. It's just, there's just a lot in there. And Transformers 1, going back to its roots with the animation. So I'm highly anticipating this movie. Number 4, Twisters. And I probably should have put this lower, but I actually think this movie is going to do pretty well. And the reason why I say maybe I should have put it lower is, again, it's another sequel of a movie that was made a while ago. Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in the original movie, and it was a really amazing movie. Now, you've got another movie coming out, a reboot of this movie with bigger special effects. Well, clearly, special effects have come a long way since the original Twister movie. So, maybe again, I should have probably put this one down on the list lower, but this one is also a movie that Ashley is looking forward to. So when I say I'm looking forward to it, Ashley and I are going to go see this movie, and Ashley doesn't really tend to watch movies that much. She just listens to me talk about them. So that I'm anticipating for. Speaking of movies she'll want to see, number 3, Beetlejuice 2. And again, I sound very hypocritical, I know this. Another movie, sequel, way past its time. But again, I will be hypocritical because there are franchises and movies that I have enjoyed. So yes, a sequel here or there, I can want to watch it, but at the same time, I have strong feelings that it may not be as good as the original, because a lot of times sequels don't actually live up to that. Now, you're talking about sequels that are, spanning outward. But again, Inside Out 2 has made us realize that, the time between the original one and now actually can do something. So let's hope that is the case with Beetlejuice 2. Number 2, Alien Romulus. Again, hypocritical on my part, because Aliens Romulus is going to be another sequel to an original franchise that I love. I have loved Alien. I love Aliens. And as God is my witness, I loved Alien Covenant, and I loved Prometheus. So I know that those movies were not well done or well received because they were prequels. And again, going back in time, we saw the Star Wars complaints about going, prequels and that sort of thing. But Alien Romulus looks really, really good. And I cannot wait. Number 1, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, clearly, as a Marvel fan, I am so looking forward to this movie. And again, I've been saying this over and over again when I talk about it. I hope it is a reset for the MCU. And I will drop that MCU one on another time, because I really feel that Marvel and its movie collection overall is definitely where it's at. And I'll get into all that on another time, but I just wanted to go over that. So there are your movies. And again, there's going to be a lot of other movies out there. I've looked through. I know Maxine was one that's coming out, I believe, next week. Longlegs is coming out with Fly Me to the Moon in 2 weeks. You have Flight Risk and Red One and Heretic as well. Those movies look pretty decent. So it was a hard list to make. And again, there's some other ones as well. I've gone through all of them. And then, of course, the ones that were listed on the thing. And then Netflix will probably throw out some more stuff as well. So I think the rest of this year is going to be really good. The first half of the year was okay. Not gonna lie, it was okay. Civil War is definitely my number 1 right now. And as I said, I think a couple weeks ago, or maybe even longer than that, but I think overall, Deadpool and Wolverine, if this does what I think it's going to do, I might say that it might be my number 1 over Civil War. But I'm telling you right now, Civil War should win next year's Best Picture. Right now. As I'm saying right now, and I know I keep saying it. I'm going to beat this drum to its death. So, but I wish it was coming out on DVD. Because I would own it instead of watching it on streaming. That's all I'm saying. And Deadpool and Wolverine better come out on DVD, because I need to add to the collection here of Marvels. So, with that being said, I know this was going to be just a top 10 show, and I'm hoping that you've enjoyed those top 10 movies that I've listed, and I'm hoping that the next 10 that are coming out that I'm anticipating will be just as good. And then there will be a huge part of me that's going to have a hard time at the end of the year doing a year-end review. But for right now, well, especially because anything after Civil War and Deadpool and Wolverine, it may have trouble kind of rotating into those slots for a top 10 or a top 25, whatever I'm going to do. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in again to this episode, and I will see you at the movies.
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.